to meet up with her the next day so she could show you around. You went to see if you could visit Atakora's mom, but she wasn't home, and instead you met her current girlfriend, Kalina, who she recently moved in with and did not tell you about. You had a sort of nice but awkward conversation with her, and then you decided to go hang out until and check back later to see if Melidor was back. So you went to the bathhouse, got clean, and then went back to Atakora's childhood home and actually met his mom this time, had lunch. She interrogated all of you about your lives. And now you just kind of have the rest of the day to yourselves. I think you were going to go see some nice buildings. I believe there was a library that was discussed. And that was kind of where we left off. So I don't know if you guys want to like play out a whole afternoon and evening of visiting places or what, or if you kind of want to skip to tomorrow or what you would like to do. It's up to you guys.
Well, I want to roleplay going to a library because
okay.
A library.
Of course you do.
All right. Okay, so yeah, you're going to take them to what Atakora is, in Atakora's opinion, the prettiest building in Besaeus Teal. It's a big library. It's up in the like tree layer of the city. And there are actually a lot of libraries here, or a number of libraries with, you know, different purposes. This library is kind of unique because it has all of the things that were like salvaged from Malaismere, basically. It's kind of the Malaismere Memorial Library. It has artifacts and documents that were actually taken from the city and other information about the city. So it is used for research and stuff, but it's also like kind of a monument to the old city, and it is very beautiful and open to the public.
If Eleni takes you here tomorrow, you can just fake surprise, right? You're both really good liars, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Sahar just kind of looks at you like, okay. Like, you've got me figured out. You know I'm not a good liar, but she doesn't say anything. Okay, so you take everyone into a different part of town. It has some schools in it. I think the way the school system is organized, basically it's all kind of loosely connected, and it's all free for everyone in the city if they want to like go and learn whatever. But they probably have, you know, like schools for younger people that are, you know, mandatory to attend. Like Besaeus Teal has a very high literacy rate, probably the highest in all of the Empire, because really all the kids like go to these schools. So those are kind of on the ground, just sort of like the basic schools for children. And then above them is sort of it's not exactly a university. The system isn't really organized quite like that, but yeah, the sort of like loose organizations of scholars. Most of what they do happens up in the tree layer. So there are a lot of lecture halls up there. There are a lot of research areas. There are a lot of libraries and like scholarly meeting places and stuff. So yeah, you you can go to the school area, and then from there it's pretty easy to find a way up into like the university-ish area.
Is it easy enough for me to navigate, even though I haven't been here for 10?
Yeah, you remember where most of this stuff is, I think. I don't know. Elves have good memories, probably.
You'd hope.
Yeah, and the city's not area-wise, it's a little bit smaller than like another city of equal population might be, just because half of it is like on top of the other half.
Right.
So it's not super spread out. But yeah, you can find like the general part of town, and then you can get up into the trees and just sort of wander around until you find it. There's also signs, I don't know. The academic buildings are probably labeled for the most part. But yeah, the rest of you just kind of have to follow Atacora.
Nobody's afraid of heights, are they?
I don't
don't
think
know.
so.
Are you? No. Sahar seems fine. Like a little, it's like clearly she thinks this is a little weird, but she doesn't seem afraid. Just kind of like, oh, this is new. And everything is very sturdy. Like it from down below, it all looks kind of ethereal. But once you actually get up there, like this isn't Star Wars. There are handrails all over the place. Like everything seems very, very sturdy and safe. I mean, you could just like jump off if you wanted to, but you're not really gonna fall. Is kind of the.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like swaying rope ladders or anything. Nothing seems like it's gonna snap.
Mm-hmm.
The passages between the different buildings are very wide. Like these are clearly, meant to be used by multiple people at once, and have like 2 to 3 people being able to pass each other. And you do see a lot of people up here. It's the middle of the day, so there are people walking around from building to building, mostly just having conversations with each other, carrying books and scrolls and things. Some of them, they all kind of look at you curiously as you walk by, but most of them are on their way to somewhere, or they're involved in a conversation with someone.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a license plate from another state.
Yeah, basically. Like, oh, visitors? Okay. But yeah, up here you really only are seeing elves so far. But yeah, it's pretty beautiful. It's a lot of like curving wooden architecture and arches and things. And Atacor, you're able to lead everyone to this library. It has an arched doorway. It's like built around this like massive tree. And it has an arched doorway with like carvings and stuff all around the frame of the door. The doors are just sort of propped open. And when you go in, it's very tall. It has these wooden beams up in the top. And it's very like well lit too. There's kind of magical lights. What you are pretty sure are magical lights just sort of hang up in the ceiling, like there. It's obviously not fire. It's just like a clear light. And the windows are pretty narrow. They're not letting in a ton of sunlight. and there are um like slanted portions outside of the window to like protect it from rain and stuff,
Mhm.
like a little roof over it kind of. So most of the light is coming from um the magical lighting. But yeah, it's an interesting library. It's not really, it's like half library, half museum almost. There are a lot of books and scrolls and things stored all over the place, but there are also just artifacts. And Atacor, you've been in here before a number of times. It's probably somewhere where they like take kids on field trips and stuff. And are like, yeah, these are cool historical artifacts from Molaesmyr and stuff like that. Um, but all the walls are decorated with like carvings and tapestries and things, and they depict scenes from basically the history of the city, from the history of Molaesmyr, from the what's it called, the war, the big war, you know what I mean. What's it called? I forgot.
Like the big
Calamity. The Calamity.
the big Calamity War? Yeah.
I was like, what's the that's right. The Calamity, the Divergence and the Calamity, they're the same thing. Okay. Yes, so the post-Calamity history of Molaesmyr, which is when that city was built. And yeah, some of the tapestries are like actually from the city, and some of them are, damaged, and stuff like that. Some of them are newer. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Pretty much anything you could want to see is in here relating to the city. There's like pieces of architecture, there's just sort of everyday objects, there's magical objects.
Are there like any tours happening right now that we could hitch a ride to?
I don't think there are any tours right now, but there are people in here just kind of sitting and studying, it looks like. Some of them are using like materials from this library or like browsing the shelves. A couple of them are just sitting at some tables and you don't really know what they're doing, but they have like books and stuff. There's probably like there are a few people wearing like what is probably uniforms. Like they're just wearing these sort of silvery white tunics that match, and you're like, okay, these are probably like the keepers of all of this stuff. There's not like an info desk or anything, but you can sort of see like who probably works here, and you could probably go ask them something if you wanted to.
I could give you the Atacora tour, and then tomorrow you could have the Eleni tour.
Sounds very exciting.
Is the Atacora tour any good?
Of course it's good. Of course it's good. You're never bored on an Atacora tour.
Huh. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, I'll show them around and I'll give flagrantly wrong information.
No.
Great. How convincing are you trying to be?
Well, how much of the stuff is labeled, first of all?
Probably all of it. All of like the artifacts are labeled. They probably all have little descriptions. They're all in Elvish, but most of you can read Elvish, so
I'm not trying to be convincing. I'm trying to be funny.
okay, yeah. So you all can kind of tell that Atacor is making some bullshit up.
Like reading all the plaques and stuff. Just like half paying attention.
Yeah. Tuning him out, reading the plaques.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
no.
no.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully that will help.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to us.
Izzy!
Hmm.
No.
Can you adjust your sensitivity in your settings? I don't know if that's it.
Let's see.
Oh, there we
Oh.
go.
There you go. Okay.
Can hear you now.
That's good. I think my like noise sensitivity was up like way too low.
Yeah.
Okay. That's better.
We can hear you now.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just choose to believe everything that Adakora says. Just because it's more fun that way.
Yeah, Sahar cannot read the placards, but she can definitely tell that you're probably making stuff up. So she's just kind of like not rolling her eyes, but it looks like she sort of wants to roll her eyes.
There are two
Sometimes-
elder speakers there if she wants to see what's really on the plaque.
Yeah, she doesn't seem invested enough to like call you out. Maybe she's waiting for the Eleni tour with the real information. But yeah, at some point during this, one of the people who probably works here notices you guys, walking around. You're not making a ton of noise, but you're speaking common and you have non-elves with you, so it's kind of, she's like, oh, they're probably tourists. But yeah, one of them comes up to you and kind of politely waits for you to be done with whatever your most recent explanation is.
This is the famous horn of Eltherial, which they used to herd the trees out of the valley and make it
The tree shepherds. Yes.
Yeah, tree herding is a very important industry.
Oh yeah, of course it is. But yeah, she just kind of politely waits for you to be done and then greets you all in common. And says, I don't mean to disturb you. Do you need help with anything?
I look at my companion.
That's not very good when I'm looking at you.
It's your tour.
You're of course welcome to browse the library. If you're looking for anything in particular, we can help you find it.
One moment.
We just ask that none of the documents be taken from here without special permission.
Of course. Right now, I'm just showing them some of the sites. My friends here.
Sorry, did we say something?
They ask that none of the documents be taken out of the library. It's pretty standard for a research library.
Yeah, you'd have to get some kind of...
I mean, like, that's the same as the Cobalt Soul.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The fact that we were allowed in at all is already...
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that I was just showing you guys around right now. And then looking at you significantly because you're the nerd.
Right.
Yes, and what of it?
I'm sure if these nerds here need anything later, we will not hesitate to ask.
The woman looks like she's trying not to laugh a little bit. She seems pretty young, like maybe your age or a little bit younger, Edacora, like college student age. Yeah, she's on the shorter side for an elf. She has kind of a round face and like pigtails. She's very cute. But yeah, she like suppresses a laugh kind of at that and says, "All right, well you can ask any of us here." And she like gestures to her uniform. Any of the Oh man. Yes, anyone wearing this uniform is one of the keepers or aides who works here. So if you need anything, we'll all be able to help.
Thank you.
I know. And yet I'm still surprised every time you ask me. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, they have to know. But yeah, she walks away to do something else and leaves you to your own devices.
You should ask them how to work here. What we need to do to be able to work here.
You have a job.
What if I want a different job?
Do you want a different job?
Well, this place is pretty cool.
Well, if you want to put in your 2 weeks notice with Torkel.
Well, I would, except I need to know if I can even work here.
Yeah, so I call over the hat NPC who just left us. Actually, you have a question.
She turns around and comes back.
How do you become employed here?
Oh, she looks surprised at that question. Well, I'm I mean, I've been a student of history here for a few decades now. I'm interested in preservation and archiving.
Nice.
I
We're
suppose.
full archives. Some of us, if that would be considered credentials.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, do you do similar work at the Cobalt Soul?
I don't know. I guess I did up until I was switched over to Reese. I was a researcher.
Yeah, you were an archives assistant. So you were doing a lot of like basically like keeping track of stuff. Shelving, helping people find things, organizing new stuff that came in, things like that.
Yeah. Censoring history without my boss's notice. You know.
Drawing dicks on the pages of books. As you do. Ophelia, you have like cleric lessons, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But you also just hang out in the library and do your own research, I would imagine. I think there's like a scholastic element to your trading as well, just because you're a cleric of Ioun.
Mm-hmm.
Like you probably have to do some research. Maybe you've helped out on like bigger research projects for the Cobalt Soul, and then like sort of a research assistant. I don't know.
That's
It's pretty much up to you guys. Yeah. That's the Cobalt Soul's like motto, actually. I mean, if you're really interested, I could. She seems a little bit flustered. Like, are they making fun of me? I don't really know.
Oh.
I'm making fun of Ophelia. No.
Yeah. The head archivist isn't here right now, but I could try to have you schedule a meeting with her.
I think my friend was more curious than anything, but we will keep that in mind.
All right.
Thank you for indulging her curiosity.
Poor woman.
Of course. Yeah, she leaves again.
I mean, to be fair, this is probably like roughly how I got a job at the Cobalt Soul too.
Oh yeah, be like, hey,
I was like, so how would you get a job here?
Yeah.
With this
What can
kind of
I do?
credentials? Sure, okay.
I have a college degree.
And then you went
Look at
home
me,
and
a
you
big
forged
college degree
credentials.
hammer. Sorry, Izzy, what were you saying?
You asked them what the credentials were, and then you went home and forged your credentials.
Yup.
Lied on my resume.
I feel like Atacor does have a college degree, but it's like liberal arts. Like that's the degree, like it's nothing very specific. You were just like, I guess I'll get a degree because I don't have anything else I want to do.
Undecided for a year.
Yeah. Yup. Exactly. Yeah. And then then you gotta after that you got a master's degree in espionage. Yep. Knife throwing. Killing people real good.
I probably haven't killed that many people. I've
I don't think you have, no.
yeah, like we killed some kobolds. but until that, I don't think I've killed very many people. Probably
Yeah, probably not. A hag.
a hag. We killed a hag.
Yeah, you didn't end up in one of the killing a lot of people jobs.
So I turned to Ophelia. So you've got a shot. You have archives experience.
I think by the time I'm done training, I'll be dead. So this seems,
In 20 years.
yeah. I mean, like, maybe. I don't know. Is the pay good for being a trainee? We didn't ask. Don't ask.
Sorry, I'm like already raising my hand.
No. I like swat it down.
Atacor, you do know that the schooling here is free. If you just want to be a student. If you're being a research assistant, you probably get paid some amount of money, but you can also just like take classes for free basically.
Why can't Rexentrum be as cool as this place?
It could be if they were nicer to us.
If our
Well, they
teacher-
still wouldn't have all the trees, I guess. So
What's with all the trees actually? What, is that a thing?
we herded them here.
Right. Yes, that makes sense.
A gesture at the horn that I've been showing them.
Yeah, the horn is labeled like it's a magical like device. It's like that thing Scanlan has where if he casts spells through it his DC goes up. Like it's like a magical instrument basically to enhance your spell casting abilities, but it's kind of broken. So it's just on display as an example of Malaeus Mirror craftsmanship.
To be fair, we could have used that when we were fighting the hag.
That's true.
You're
Yeah.
not wrong. Yeah.
Quite a lot of trees.
Do we have to go other places too in your city tour?
Have to? Do you want to spend more time here?
Well, there's a lot of stuff here.
We can spend the whole afternoon wandering the library if that's what you want.
Does Sakara look like she wants to hang out in an elven library for...
She doesn't really. She looks pretty neutral. She's just kind of standing around listening to you guys. Vaguely amused at your bickering in general.
I don't know. I feel like it would be nice to read a book or something.
We have books at home.
Yeah, but there's also
Go-
books
go wild,
books
be free.
here. Actually, I want to look. I want to go to a different library.
A different library.
Yeah, one that's more generic.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can go to a bigger library.
A library
That is
that
more-
might have romance novels in it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they
Absolutely not.
there is totally a library that's like just fiction. I'll say. This one is it's actually on the ground floor, or the ground, because it's kind of near like the more basic schools, because there is some like children's literature in this library. But yeah, it's basically just a collection of interesting fiction from wherever they could get it.
Are there like any sections that are like restricted for older ages, or is it just like all together?
I don't think it's restricted. I think there's just like a children's section and a not children's section.
Okay.
And everything is probably just alphabetical by author. I don't think it's organized by genre.
All right. So what? What
Did we
are
all go
your-
here, or did anyone want to stay behind in the main library? And the memorial library?
Up to you guys.
Both are cool. I just got distracted.
It does not matter to me. I just want to know if we're splitting the party or not.
Sahar will go with whichever group is larger.
Yeah, I think I'll follow along for now.
Okay.
Okay, so you head to the literature library.
Alright, what are your dad's pen names?
I just stare at her.
Have to guess yourself. It's like a Rumpelstiltskin situation.
And it's all sorted by name?
Author's name, yeah.
Is there like an index book sorted by genre that I can peruse? Like a catalog?
I don't know. Okay, let's see. There's probably a big catalog. I don't think it's sorted by genre though. I think it's just sorted by author's name, but there are like little descriptions of the books in it.
Okay. I'll spend like half an hour going through the names and like saying them and trying to like discern if there's any reaction by either of the twins.
Okay.
I walk away.
No. Can I take the catalog with me and follow him?
No, it is too big, and it's also like it's probably on like a book, like pulpit kind of thing. Like it's open on like a stand basically, and it's attached to the thing somehow, so you can't just walk off with it. It's
Is
attached to
Antimony
the little
staying?
table, so you can flip through it. But
Yeah. Antimony, are you gonna stay and let me deduce? Or are you just gonna tell me? You should just tell me.
You have to figure it out for yourself. That's how this works.
Oh my. Just wait until I can send a message and like I'll send it to someone who looks vaguely like you guys and hope that I get the right person.
oh my god. There are also sections in different languages, which is kind of interesting.
Oh.
So that's the other division. Everything, there's not genre divisions, but there's like the children's section, there's the big like elvish not children section, and then there's little sections in other languages. Yeah, just ask him himself. I'm sure he'll be perfectly happy to tell you about his books.
That's not soon enough and it's not torturing enough for Adakora.
But yeah, Sahar kind of wanders, like loses interest in whatever you guys are doing and wanders off and finds there's a little section that has stuff in Orcish. So
Oh, that's good.
she kind of flips through some of it interestedly.
I'm gonna guess there's no gold on my just name and watch technique.
I mean, wait, okay, so you're what, sending them messages with the names?
No, I don't have sending. I'm just saying
Oh,
the
okay, okay,
names to Antimony and seeing if she has like a reaction.
Oh. I mean, that's up to you, Antimony.
I think that I manage to remain at least outwardly stone-faced about it. Possibly they actually don't have his books.
They might not. I feel like they would, but I also don't know for sure. It's kind of...
Yeah.
I think there's like enough books that it's hard to. It would be
You
a
probably-
feat to get.
They probably
one.
have some of his early work, like before he got popular enough for like distribution. outside of Visayas Steel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I think there's probably one or two, like, because this library has some stuff that's clearly produced elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
in the Empire. Most of the stuff in other languages, because nobody is publishing things not in Elvish or Common out of Visayas Teal. And there's probably not a lot of publishing, like, they don't have a publishing company here. But yeah, there are probably it's probably like some stuff he wrote while he was not living in Visayas Teal that then someone bought and like brought back here for the library, maybe not knowing it was his,
Yeah.
Boy, they bought the rights.
No, they just have a few copies of, a couple of romance novels, perhaps. Some mysteries.
Alright, I'll figure it out eventually. Does Sakar get, like, stuck on a book after the while, or is she, like, not interested?
She goes through a couple of them and then she kind of picks one up that she seems to be interested in. And just sort of sits in a chair and reads it for a while.
And then what does Adakora do?
I pretend to be very interested in a book on Arcana.
You have to, like, hone your message skills.
Wait, I know a spell?
You're right. Yeah, that's the one you took, right?
Yeah, I did take message.
You forgot many years that you could do it, but then suddenly,
Right. Like, oh, I've been wishing I could do this, and I forgot that I could this whole time.
Or I knew the whole time and I was just being an asshole about it.
Or that, yeah.
What do you mean? Nobody here has message.
It's okay. Secrets get out eventually. I'll, like, read over his shoulder, or try to. I don't know. You're pretty tall. But you might be sitting, so there's that.
Can you see over my shoulder?
I don't know. Are you sitting?
No.
Ugh. Are there, like, little step stools in this library?
Sure.
I will take a step stool and try to angle it so that I can read over his shoulder.
Alright, what are you pretending to read?
I said Arcana, but then you said this was a fiction library, right?
It is a fiction library.
Well, then, like,
a series about wizards.
yeah, a fictional book about wizards.
Alright. Yeah, it is about, it's about actually, like, the mage, one of the mage cities that was flying around pre-Calamity. It might be, you're not sure, it might be like one that the author made up. But it's just like a dramatic story set on one of these floating cities.
Nice, nice.
Does he keep, like, pretending to read it? Or, like, pretending to be invested?
Sure. I can do this all day. What do you think I did at work? If not pretend to be invested for hours and hours.
Ophelia probably gets like actually invested.
I like turn the page too fast before you're done reading it.
I try to turn it back. I'm like, wait.
Excuse you.
How dare you not, I don't know, be considerate and like a decent person and wait for your co-readers to be done.
If you want to co-read, you could just ask.
Well, you noticed me, right? That's practically asking.
I didn't notice you. You are very short, even on that stool.
I'll kill you.
And I have
Wow.
very, very low passive perception.
Oh, kill me.
Okay, well, I'm here now. Turn the
Is
page
there like a
back.
sitting area?
Yeah, I think there are little just chairs, kind
Is
of.
there a balcony?
No. This library has one floor.
Okay.
It's not huge, and it's on the ground level.
Okay. I'll sit in a chair area.
That means I don't need the stool to like stand ominously over your shoulder.
I start reading out loud.
Oh, well, this is more convenient, I suppose. I'll be read to, but it's like impatiently, because I can read faster than he can talk. I'm just like, get going. Like, speed read this thing.
Talk faster.
Yeah. Why are you trying to, like, emote with your voice? Are you an actor? Like, what is this? Just, like, dry and fast is the way to go.
Have you ever read fiction before?
Yeah.
I think you've spent too long in a research library.
No.
I soft tossed the book to her.
I, like, scramble to catch it. Even though I really shouldn't have to. But sometimes people are awkward that way. What does antimony do? Where is antimony?
I think I have. Let's see, it's a fiction library. What genre do I like? I feel like since we were standing in the romance section before, I'm going to look for the worst sounding romance novel that I can find. Like, just the one that sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, you kind of look through the catalog, and skim it, and you find one that it's. Let's see.
I'm forcing you to come up with like a romance.
I know. I'm like, that's a bad romance novel plot. There's one that's like, it's set in oh man, what's that town that they were at, the Mighty Nine were in at the beginning?
Trostenwald?
Yeah, Trostenwald. It's set in Trostenwald.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the two heads of like rival beer families. And they are, always doing like very sort of increasingly over the top sabotage of each other's businesses, but they're also like secretly having sex.
I love it.
Yeah, and of course in eventually it all comes out, and there's a lot of drama, and then the families are the so okay, yeah, they're like the middle-aged like heads of the families, and they're both widowed. uh and yeah, they're having this like torrid affair while they try to ruin each other's businesses, and then finally their kids find out about it and are like, stop, let's just get along, okay.
Oh, no.
And they probably get married in the end or something and like reunite the businesses, or unite the businesses, I don't know. Something like that.
From the first beer monopoly.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a subplot where one of their kids falls in love with like a bandit, like a golden hearted bandit or whatever, I don't know, like a Robin Hood character.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Taito definitely didn't write this, but
He doesn't have that kind of talent.
but yeah, that one looks pretty terrible.
Nice. I think I will take that book as well as like I want to say there's got to be like a subgenre of romance in Wildmount of just like I don't really know how to express this beyond like there's got to be some kind of monster fucker community, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
It's a
so I
fantasy
think-
world.
right. So I think it would be kind of funny. To have like like I collect some other book that's just like the story of a wizard like and his torrid romance with somebody who's like cursed to be I don't know what is even a good creature for this.
Um, hmm. Well, there's like the sort of creepy monster or like the sexy monster. Like I'm thinking the two that well, those are all pretty good, but the two that came into my head were a minotaur or a mind flayer.
A mind flayer.
But
Yeah,
those have very different vibes. So I feel like a wizard and a mind flayer is a good pairing.
it's a vibe. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be good.
Okay. Yeah, you find that.
And I take my terrible romance novels and go read them at a table somewhere. Just chilling.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. You can hear your brother and Ophelia bickering a little bit on the other side of the room somewhere. But mostly you are just reading your bad romance novels in peace.
Just a normal day.
Yep.
After a while, I suppose we should probably get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, how do you stay? How long do you stay? Do you wait until they kick you out? Do you just leave of your own devices?
Yeah, I mean, when does the library close, I guess?
I don't know.
They're not usually open that late, right?
This one's definitely not. Probably some of the academic ones have different hours, but this
Yeah.
one's like it's probably closed by like dinner time. Like 6 p.m. rolls around and someone comes over and is like, "We're closing soon."
That's enough time for us to go get food. Or a convenient enough time. Are we going back to your house for dinner?
I forget if we are expected for dinner.
I don't know if you ever said. I think you talked about spending the night there.
Yeah. We did talk about staying.
You could kind of retcon that if you want. I don't remember. I don't remember you guys making specific dinner plans, but if you want to have had made dinner plans, that's fine.
Sure, let's say we knew that we were going back for dinner.
All right. So yeah, it's probably pretty close to dark by now. But in Besastiel, the streets are pretty at night. Like everything's kind of there are little magical lights around. Probably just in the trees. All the houses are lit up. It's pretty nice. And there are of course buildings above you everywhere you go that are also lit. And you see people walking above you on, bridges and pathways and things. But yeah, it's quite peaceful. And there aren't a ton of people in the streets right now just because it's dinner time ish. But it is easy to walk back. It's not dark. Okay. So you get to Melidora's house again. You are let in. There's a fire going. Melidora and Kalina are both cooking things, just kind of bustling around. They're clearly making more food than they normally would because they have 4 extra people. They probably did like put a leaf in the table. But yeah, everything's cozy and it smells like food in here. It's very nice. Adakor, you're probably having like some childhood flashbacks. Like, oh, that's mom's venison stew or something.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for Sahar. We're just dragging her.
She's just
Out of
here.
her element.
I don't feel bad for the rest of you. Just
Sahara can leave us at any time.
That's true. She is, yeah.
It's true.
She is hanging around. She does not seem to want to go anywhere else, so.
She's bringing it on herself.
But I mean, when you found her, she was just wandering around at the forest, so maybe this is an improvement.
Yeah,
Like
true.
some hot food. Indoor sleeping. But yeah, Melidora sort of looks you all over and is like, well, you all look much better. Did you go to the bathhouse?
Yes. I think we did that before lunch, though.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. She doesn't say that.
At lunch,
Did
it was like,
did
hey,
you
you guys look like
You guys look
you've been
terrible.
on the road
Yeah.
for a week.
I forgot when you guys did that. She's just like, oh, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
Hit up a couple of the libraries. Mostly just wandered.
I was like, who's mom? Well, that's nice. I stopped by your grandparents' house.
So they're prepared now.
Yes, they are. They're very excited. I told them you were probably only going to be here for a few days, so they want you to come over tomorrow for dinner.
All right.
You can bring all of your friends, they said.
Oh.
If you want to. I don't think they... I mean, if the rest of you don't want to come to a family gathering, that's perfectly fine. I understand.
Who wouldn't love to be interrogated all over again? And hear all the embarrassing stories about me that I'm sure they'll bring up.
That sounds great.
I don't know if I'm trying to discourage them or encourage them at this
Yeah, right.
Like, well,
Right.
this is either going to happen or it isn't. There's pros and
Yep.
cons.
It's pretty much up to you guys at this point. Yeah, Melidora's like, it
I have to do it either way.
she seems very like, she's definitely neutral about this. She's like, it is perfectly fine if you don't want to come hang out with Atacor's grandparents. Like, that's fine, but they did say you could come over, so don't worry about it. But yeah, the meal is kind of getting put out on the table. It's very classic Bisayas teal cuisine, which is like a lot of game, a lot of root vegetables, a lot of stews, things like that. Yeah, it's very like hearty food.
We all love a good root vegetable.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, it's a little bit like Zemnian peasant cooking, except there's less like farm animal stuff, like not as much dairy and things like that. And yeah, more game rather than like cow and pig meat or whatever.
Yeah.
And not as much bread because they aren't like growing wheat out here.
No.
Stereophilia. There's just
Oh no.
It's okay.
But yeah, there's like potatoes and things. Some fun vegetables you've never really seen that were maybe like gathered from the forest.
Ooh. I always like a strange vegetable.
Yeah, some wild root vegetables. Some mead.
I make the appreciative food eating noises.
Yeah, Sahar looks like very happy to be eating this food. She's
so
just kind
tired
of
of eating
concentrating. Yeah,
cereal on the road.
right. Jerky and hardtack or whatever. There's some apple cake.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think Melodora probably just asks you guys like what you're gonna do tomorrow, stuff like that. But it's, small talk.
While she's asking about our plans, I'm going to say, if you have some time while I'm here, I'd love to go hunting like we used to some afternoon.
She looks a little surprised, but yeah, she smiles and she's like, I would like that.
Good.
It's going to be busy here the next few days, I think, with the guard, but I'll see if I can get away.
Yeah, just let me know.
I will. She like reaches over and kind of rubs your head.
Mama.
Is something going on right now?
Sorry. You asked Melodora this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she kind of looks at you a little bit sharply now. You haven't talked much, probably, I imagine. Oh, hang on. Juno's knocking on the door. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I imagine you haven't talked much. Probably only when you were like directly asked things,
Yeah.
as is Ophelia's wont. Yeah, she kind of looks at you a little bit. Her eyes narrow a little bit. She doesn't look like, I don't know, mad or anything, but she's kind of like, you're talking now, I see. um, and she says, I'm not sure what you mean, but, well, there is a war. It's affecting here.
When was the war? When did it start? Like how long ago?
Oh man, at this point, I don't know how much time you guys have been playing in real time. It's been maybe a month? Actually, I don't remember how. When we started, I feel like the war had been going on for a few weeks or something.
That sounds
Right.
right. Yeah.
Doesn't that? Okay. I think yeah, it had been like. So it's been a few months, we'll say. And I think the war kicked off with like the one of the Dwendalian fortresses in the south getting taken over. So like that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So everything kind of like the kickoff to the war is pretty panicked and quick because they like are trying to get a bunch of people down there to try and take the place back and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it feels like a lot has happened in the last few months. Melidor is kind of she has is sort of looking back and forth between Ophelia and Adacora, like debating something with herself, perhaps. Like she's kind of is maybe thinking about saying something but isn't sure. Well, I didn't really want to talk about current events with you while you were here, she says to kind of in Adacora's general direction. But I suppose you'll find out tomorrow.
Oh.
If you're going to be wandering around town. You know the right, and she has no idea. God, poor Mel. I feel so bad for Melidor. Oh no, and Adacora, of course.
No, it's not an of course. You don't need to feel bad for him.
I do feel bad for him, even though he did get himself into this mess. um. What was I saying? Okay. You know that the council here, our council, not the Empire's, has spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort into making sure we maintain our own fighting force. That the Watchkeepers are not integrated into the Crown's Guard or disbanded entirely. There are always some attempts at recruitment of our people into the Crown's Guard, but it rarely yields anything, and they've learned not to push it. We've never had a Dwendalian army presence here as such, at least not since several years after the city was conquered. Once they were convinced that we truly intended to keep to our peaceful arrangement, they withdrew and left Crownsguard here instead. With this war, it's hard to say exactly what's going on. The news comes here more slowly than it does, well, anywhere else, I would imagine, but especially the capital. They seem fairly desperate. I doubt they would do this if they weren't. But the Starosta has been spent the last several weeks trying to convince the council and the Ring of Three that the righteous brand need to be allowed to try to recruit here.
Does Sahar react?
Yeah, Sahar kind of stops eating and just sort of looks at Melodora like Melodora doesn't really seem to notice this because she's mostly looking at Atakora and like also Ophelia sometimes. But yeah, Sahar kind of like her eyes get kind of big and she looks up and then she like goes back to eating and like isn't looking like very pointedly not looking at anyone.
Interesting.
No.
She's just kind of like, okay. Um they're sending a few of their officers tomorrow. They're arriving tomorrow. I believe the Starosta has recruitment goals. He's been putting a lot of pressure on the council. I don't see how it's going to go well. No one here wants to send their family members or themselves down to the southern border. To fight for people who care little for us, who know little about us.
Yeah, that's understandable.
The elves of Besaeus Teal feel that we have no particular quarrel with Jorhas. What the Empire does there is its business, I suppose. I understand that the council had little choice but to agree. Things are always tense between them and the crown and the Starosta, but I wish they had held out. I don't think the Starosta is going to get what he wants, and I don't know what's going to happen. In any case, there's going to be a speech and a meeting in the center of town to announce all of this. One of the Ring of Three is to give a speech, and the Starosta is to give a speech, and then they will have the recruitment officers set up there and see who agrees to join them. Captain Alias wants me there. I'm going to be in charge of the watchkeepers who are keeping an eye on the whole situation. I don't know why I was so reluctant to tell you. You would have found out tomorrow anyway. But if you want to stay clear of all of it, I would avoid the center of town, at least after noon or so.
You're not expecting trouble at the speech, are you?
I don't know what to expect. Perhaps not at the speech itself. What concerns me is what will happen if the Starosta's quota isn't filled. If they start trying to compel people. Then I think there will be trouble.
Compelled, like, magically? Or just very high pressure?
I mean, I hope they don't have any magical capabilities. I don't think they would waste that on us, but no, I mean, I don't know, a draft of some sort. They could, I don't know, threaten to cut off trade to the city until we send enough of our own. I wouldn't put anything past Utherpred, to be honest.
I'm sure it'll be fine, and if we don't go there, we won't miss anything plot relevant.
I'm sorry, this is why I didn't want to tell you. I've completely ruined dinner. Kalina's kind of like patting her shoulder a little bit. Like,
No, it's always good to know when you've arrived in town just in time for things to get interesting. It's better to know than not.
that's true. It would be best if you stayed clear of all of this, I think.
Well, the soul is neutral.
Of course, I wouldn't want you to have to compromise that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
If there's anything we can do to help, let me know.
And, well, it might be helpful to have some of a neutral party observing. What goes on tomorrow.
Melidor kind of looks thoughtful when you say that.
The Empire loves to paint a situation in ways that are favorable to them if there's a scuffle or otherwise. And I think they have the bigger voice in anywhere except for Viserys Teal.
That's true. Yes, I think you might be right.
We don't have as much power, but we do have the power to record as best we can what actually happens and make sure that it spreads further.
You're gonna have an awkward phone call with Hannelore at some point.
Yeah, I owe her one tonight. This is
I think you do, yeah. Yes, that. Thank you for saying that. I think you're right. Whatever happens here, it's best that it does not stay here. The
I'm
truth
still
of it
looking
should
at
be.
that
I know it's so long. This guy's going through so many emotions. Yeah.
It's my favorite reaction gift. I think what's happening is he's being asked about the BBC Merlin finale airing on Christmas and ruining everyone's holiday.
Oh, on Christmas, yes.
Oh man.
And I think that's also
Who, Arthur?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like everyone had to know that was going to happen in the series finale of Merlin, right? Like, Arthur always dies.
Well, you would think that, listen, getting into the pre-finale mind of a Merlin fan is hard if you weren't there. But
No, I dropped Merlin after like season 3, I think.
yeah,
So.
I mean, it's a very goofy show, though, and you know that much.
Oh, I know.
Before season 4, even it was just hard for people to conceive of it ending the way the legends end. Like they thought it would end sooner, or maybe change.
Oh, sure, you know. Yeah.
So for them to actually just go for it was pretty jarring.
It does have a prequel vibe.
But anyway.
Yeah. Like, well, they do usually kill Arthur. Sorry, gang. Sorry, just looking at this. Okay,
and I think, well, we were like we were sent here to escort a scholar, but I think a second objective was kind of to get a neutral sense of what is happening here. We know there's not like a good relationship between Visayas Teal and the Empire, or like those who live in the Empire like us, but I think we were given a task to kind of ask around and see if there was, see what the situation was. I wasn't sure how we were gonna do that, but you have already helped us a lot, and it would be nice to help you in return.
Yes, I do have some insider knowledge of what goes on in this city. If you if you wanted, I could perhaps not tomorrow, but yeah.
No, not tomorrow.
Perhaps not tomorrow, but if you stayed another few days, if you wanted, I could see about getting you a quick audience with the captain of the Watchkeepers, Ilias. I don't know if talking to him would be useful. We've been close colleagues for decades.
That would be helpful. Said in the tone of someone who really doesn't want to go. But if we can view the proceedings tomorrow in, like, you know, from a neutral state.
Well, it's all open to the public, I believe.
Do we think it would be good to go there in Cobalt Soul dress, if or to go as nobody?
Well, I mean, I guess whichever would cause the least alarm, I would think. I'm not sure what the reputation of the soul is in Visayas Teal, but is it better or worse than that of random Empire citizens?
Well, I think my thing is, I've pretty much been wearing it today. Like, I haven't really changed except for during the bathhouse, so it seems like we're mostly fine. I don't know. But I'm thinking, like, if the Empire sees that there's a member or three of the Cobalt Soul here, will they temper their potential reactions to any volatile interference? Would they, like, not do something that they would do if we weren't
Right.
here?
I'm not sure I can answer that, says Melodora. The citizens of Visayas Teal don't know much about the Cobalt Soul in general. Obviously, there are some exceptions if they're sending scholarly delegations there, but I mean, you're known here, but the uniform isn't very recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine the average elf you've encountered doesn't connect it with anything in particular, except, of course, Ioun. I don't have close enough professional relationships with anyone from the Crown to know what they think of the Cobalt Soul specifically. It's never been discussed.
Right.
The only member of the Starostas Council I've had direct contact with is the Watchmaster. He's all right, actually. Surprisingly all right.
Do you know his stance on this whole thing?
We haven't discussed it. I'm sure he was involved in the negotiations, but I don't know in what capacity. He's going to be there tomorrow as well, providing security, I would imagine. He's only had this job for a few years, and I know he doesn't really approve of the Starosta, which is something. But I imagine he's loyal to the Empire above all else, or he wouldn't be a watchmaster in the Crown's Guard.
That's true.
But I do not think he has Uther's prejudice.
Uther is the Starosta?
Yes, Uther Prince. Yeah, he's in the book somewhere.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's true.
I suppose we'll consider it and then tomorrow either go with or without. It's hard to say because, like, none of us are high up in the hierarchy of the soul, so we can hardly speak with any sort of authority, I suppose.
You mean the authorities here? You could try.
I mean, difficult for us to speak on behalf of the Cobalt Soul.
I see. Are you in contact with anyone who has greater authority?
In theory, I have someone who can contact me, but I can't do the same because I haven't learned the spell yet.
Torkel, I believe, did tell you that he would call you.
I know, but he hasn't. Well, maybe he did. I don't remember.
I don't think we said he did on the trip, but he probably did just to be like, "Are you alive? Hello."
Yeah.
You're probably not in Bisay. Like, he knows you weren't in Bisay Steel yet the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But
so if he contacts me today, I could probably ask him his opinion, and he also speaks with people who are higher up than him. I don't remember them, but like the leaders, Udala and
Udala Font, yeah.
and the other one.
Expositor Kresh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know anything about the hierarchy of the Cobalt Soul, to be perfectly honest, but if it would help you decide what to do, that seems like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens.
We certainly will. Anyway, try this apple cake.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea. But yeah, you are fed dessert. You are given a lot of mead if you want it. This is like the best meal you've had in, 5 days.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's a good time. Despite all of that disconcerting news, you are very full and warm.
I'm gonna try and help clean up because I didn't do it the last time.
Okay, yeah, they let you this time. You are allowed to help remove the dishes from the table.
I'm not very helpful, but I at least like move the dishes.
Yeah. Melidor probably stays. She's like kind of clearing everything up, and Kalina's like, "All right, we've set up um, the treehouse area with some extra blankets and pillows and things. There should be room for all of you. Adakor, you can sleep in your old bedroom if you want, or upstairs. It's really up to you." Okay.